In 2003, the 1974 slasher classic The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was remade, with Marcus Bissell directing. Several crew members of the original film returned to guide the project. Tobe Hooper, who directed the original, and writer Kim Henkel served as co-producers. Daniel Pearl returned as cinematographer, and John Larroquette reprised his voice narration for the opening intertitles.
Became a nightmare.
Michael Bay, ever eager to stick his grubby shit-covered sausage fingers into every horror remake he can, is also a producer on this movie. Thankfully, however, this is more of a Texas Chainsaw movie than a Michael Bay movie. The opening intertitle largely recreates the original mostly, this time using police footage to give a more realistic kind of feel, mentioning that over 1,300 pieces of evidence were found. Afterwards we get a van scene playing Sweet Home Alabama, which would be fine had the film not been set in 1973, and had Sweet Home Alabama not been released in 1974. But why is Sweet Home Alabama playing in a movie set in Texas? Well, the group of young individuals this movie follows, Andy, Pepper, Morgan, Kemper, and Aaron, who are driving down to Texas to see Lynyrd Skynyrd. After Morgan gives an incredibly blue-balled fun fact about STD statistics in response to Andy and Pepper making out, mind you, Pepper is a hitchhiker who they've only known for 19 hours, Kemper asks him how is he so knowledgeable on the dumbest shit, a question everyone at home was wondering. In what will be an important plot point later, Kemper and Aaron argue over their trip to Mexico, where we learn they bought at least enough of Spider-Man's girlfriend to fill a piñata. After spotting and nearly making roadkill out of a clearly shell-shocked hitchhiker, they kidnap said individual, and when they start driving in what she deems to be the wrong way, she pulls a gun out of her area and commits suicide. And with that we get a gorgeous panning that goes from the front out the van on the inside too, showing the outside of the van, detailing their faces and her blown out head and the window. This scene is great and really cements just how demented and traumatizing the Hewitt family, formerly known as the Sawyer family in the original is, which is something we only got a bit of a glimpse at in the original due to its micro-budget and the fact it was going for more of a PG rating, which as you can imagine the film did not get. I'm not gonna spoil what else happens in the movie, so from here on out I'm going to discuss the positives, negatives and the differences between the films. The first distinct difference between the films are that the remake has a modern, comparatively high budget, even though anything is big budget compared to the original, washed out grimy 2000s aesthetic that permeates the whole movie, sometimes to great effect and well other times. The director of cinematography, Daniel Pearl, made this decision to help avoid comparisons to the original, which is what everyone immediately did the moment the first trailers released. Also, the biggest things lacking in the remake is that it simply isn't particularly scary, which the original wasn't very scary either, but even then it still had that atmosphere. Still, while the visuals color-wise aren't as good as the original, it admirably updates the source material and is done pretty competently. The remake greatly expands the family and adds significantly more grime and gore, something that I felt was sorely missing from the original. Some more strengths in the remake include R. Lee Ermey playing a necrophilic sheriff, showing us Leatherface's face-making process, which really lets us see how great he is at arts and crafts. Maybe he knows Buffalo Bill. The characters are also stronger and more developed, in particular Andy, Aaron, and Kemper. The original film had a strong message about advancing technology, putting folks out of work and advocating veganism, particularly folks in slaughterhouses, and here we see one, Blair Meat Co. Maybe it's ran by the Blair Witch. Leatherface is changed from the original by being bigger, meaner, and by downplaying the aspect in the original that he was a mentally challenged adult who was abused by his family into doing these killings. He's probably more scared of them than they are of him. All in all, the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the best remakes I've ever seen and is shockingly good, in some ways even surpassing the original, and with that I'd give it an 8 out of 10.